Read each scenario and determine the correct applicable Kentucky Revised Statute for which the suspect should be charged. Using the Kentucky Revised Statutes. 1. Decide the correct criminal charges in the following scenarios. Include the appropriate KRS number along with the appropriate KRS title. For example, burglary first degree, KRS 511.0202. Decide the criminal statute for which the defendant would most likely be convicted. Scenario number 1. Paducah police were called Sunday, October 15, to a home on Buckner Lane in reference to a 27-year-old who was choking. Paducah firefighters arrived on scene before officers and administered Narcan after they determined the man had overdosed. The man was taken to a local hospital, where he was pronounced dead. Initial tests conducted at the hospital revealed the cause of death to be a fentanyl overdose. Detectives responded and found the man had fentanyl pills in his possession at the time of his death. Detectives began investigating and learned that the man had purchased fentanyl pills from suspect number 1 about an hour before his death. A warrant was obtained and suspect number 1 was arrested Thursday. Detectives determined that suspect number 1 had obtained the fentanyl pills from suspect number 2, and an undercover detective contacted suspect number 2 in an effort to purchase drugs from her. Suspect number 2 met the detective to sell him fentanyl and was arrested without incident. At the time of her arrest, detectives said suspect number 2 was in possession of 70 suspected fentanyl pills. A search of her home produced approximately 650 suspected fentanyl pills, marijuana, psilocybin, mushrooms, and LSD. Detectives also seized more than $7,000 believed to be profit from illegal drug sales. During an interview, suspect number 2 admitted she drove to Tennessee at least twice to bring fentanyl back to Kentucky to sell. Scenario number 2. A man was arrested after he stabbed a woman in the arm, then fled the scene on foot this morning. Suspect number 1 was arrested about 30 minutes after police were called to a home on Cherry Street in reference to a stabbing. A woman at the home told police she and suspect number 1 had a disagreement and he grabbed her by the neck, pulled a red-handled knife and cut her up her arm. The woman began hitting the wall to alert her neighbor and said suspect number 1 took her phone and destroyed it before running out the back door. Officers located suspect number 1 at a convenience store a few blocks away on Mayfield Road and arrested him. Along the path taken by suspect number 1 from the house to the convenience store, officers found a bag with his name on it, a sheath and a knife matching the description given by the victim. The victim was taken to Baptist Health Paducah for treatment. Suspect number 1 was booked into McCracken County Regional Jail. Scenario number 3. Sarah is angry with her husband, Joseph. Intending to kill Joseph, she strikes him the head with a cast iron skillet while he is sleeping. John is taken to the hospital, where he is pronounced dead on arrival. Scenario number 4. Isaiah and Kynon decide to hold up Huck's convenience store. They agree to use a pistol. They both go inside the store. In the process of robbing the store, Kynon shoots and kills the cashier. Scenario number 5. Bill is very drunk. He runs out of beer and decides to drive to Walmart for more. He is aware of and consciously disregards a substantial and unjustifiable risk that he may kill someone. He drives fast and runs over Susie. Susie dies. Scenario number 6. Bob is stressed because he and his wife, Jill, have been fighting. He goes home early to try and work things out. He walks in and finds Jill in bed with Stan. She and Stan are having sexual intercourse. Bob, acting under the influence of extreme emotional disturbance for which there was a reasonable explanation or excuse, gets his pistol and, with intent, kills both Stan and Jill. Scenario number 7. Kelly has a child named Little Joe. Kelly becomes angry, whips Little Joe very hard over much of his body with a large, heavy belt. Little Joe later becomes lethargic and is taken to the hospital. He dies. An autopsy later determines Little Joe died as a result of internal hemorrhaging. Scenario number 8. Jennifer leaves her child, June, who is an infant, in her car while June is asleep. The time is 02:00 a.m. and it is in the middle of the summer. June has been having trouble sleeping and Jennifer, thinking she should leave her asleep, leaves June and goes inside to meet her boyfriend. She and the boyfriend drink a little wine, have sex, and fall asleep. The next morning, Jennifer wakes up. It is 1000 a.m. She remembers June and goes outside. June has been in the hot car for several hours since the sun came up and has died of hyperthermia. Scenario number 9. Derek is celebrating his birthday. He is drinking and decides he wants to shoot off some fireworks. Having none, he gets his pistol, instead. He walks out the back door of his home, which is in a densely populated area. Derek fires off a few rounds into the air. David, who is out walking his dog, is struck with one of the rounds and dies.